Today, I want to take a deeper dive into the statistics behind the statement that over 100 ectopic pregnancies have happened post-hysterectomy. This was stated in a video by Paging Dr. Fran, and the statistic that was cited was a little bit misleading, so I just want to go into that. And the reason why I want to go into that is because a lot of people were getting a little nervous in the comments. And for some of the statistics, the math wasn't mathing. And just from a data perspective, it's not really correct to lump all the hysterectomies into just one hysterectomy category. So in terms of my credentials, I do have a PhD in engineering. I am not a medical doctor. There are generally 4 different types of hysterectomies. The first one is known as a supracervical hysterectomy. It's sometimes referred to as a partial hysterectomy, and this is where they just remove the uterus. The second type of hysterectomy is called a total hysterectomy, and this is where they remove both the uterus and the cervix. The third type of hysterectomy, and this is the one that I received, is a total plus a bilateral salpingectomy. And this is where they remove the uterus, the cervix, and both of the fallopian tubes. The last type of hysterectomy is known as a radical hysterectomy, also sometimes referred to as a total hysterectomy with a bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy. And this is where they remove the uterus, the cervix, both fallopian tubes, and both ovaries. And this type of surgery does cause immediate menopause. And for those that are more visual learners, there are some graphics for each of these types of hysterectomies to more easily visualize what exactly is being removed. This graphic shows the types of hysterectomies in schematic form. In the center of the graphic is a schematic of your reproductive organs, the fundus of the uterus, the fallopian tube, body of uterus, ovary, cervix, and of course the canal. I'm not using the proper term for the last one because I'm not sure if that word is allowed on TikTok. Worth pointing out, though, is that the total plus bilateral salpingectomy is not shown here, but it is similar to the total hysterectomy. You just have to, in your mind, remove both of the fallopian tubes. Feel free to pause the video and take a closer look if you need. Now let's look at the available published data. According to a review article published in March of 2025 titled Ectopic Pregnancy After Hysterectomy Study, a systemic review of published case reports comparing ectopic pregnancy following total and supracervical hysterectomy. And in the abstract, which I'm not showing here, it states that there have been roughly 108 documented ectopic pregnancies in over a century. And I believe the first documented case was in 1895. So the important piece that was missing from Dr. Fran's video is how were these documented cases split up amongst the different types of hysterectomies? Because that's really the important piece here. So in the abstract they state that out of the 108 cases, 34 of them were supracervical and 74 were total hysterectomies. And as we know, if you have a total hysterectomy, that doesn't necessarily mean that they also removed the fallopian tubes, which is important here. So the next thing that we need to do is, and it's the last thing that we need to do, is to stratify the risk by hysterectomy type, which is what was missing from her original video. So let's go through the risk of ectopic pregnancy by hysterectomy type. Again, ranked in the same order as the first slide, for both supracervical and total hysterectomies, I could not find any available stats. My suspicion, just based on conservative bracketing, is that the true prevalence rate likely falls between that of tubal ligation at 0.7% and of total plus bilateral salpingectomy at roughly 0.1 to 0.3%. For total plus bilateral salpingectomy, so removal of the uterus, cervix, and both fallopian tubes, the prevalence rate is likely between 0 and 0.3%, which would be on par with just a bilateral salpingectomy alone. Finally, if you were to have a radical hysterectomy, there is a 0% chance of you ever getting pregnant. The key takeaways. Not all hysterectomies are created equally, as we've seen. If you are going to keep your ovaries, best practice is to make sure that both of your fallopian tubes are removed to further lower your chances of pregnancy. The only way to completely eliminate your risk of pregnancy surgically is to have a radical hysterectomy, which, remember, removes everything. Risk factors that can increase ectopic pregnancies after a hysterectomy are remaining tubal remnants, if tubes reconnect somehow, and tiny fistulas in vaginal cuffs that allow abdominal access to sperm. As always, if you have any questions about these things, please discuss them with your doctor. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. If I cannot answer them, I will try to refer you to any journal papers or other accounts that might be able to better answer your questions. Hope this was helpful and alleviates any fears or concerns you might have about ectopic pregnancy risk after a hysterectomy. Bye!